My time in Houston was colored with contrast. On one side, similar to Dallas, I learned to avoid walking under bridges. I took an Uber to go to and from the grocery store, which was only a few blocks away. I learned the value of a driver's license. I experienced a feeling quite abnormal to any Canadian, the combination of fear and relief seeing a store guard with a visible holster on his hip. But those are not the parts that I remember most. I remember staying in an Airbnb dubbed Art House, which I knew would be a challenge to my introversion, but one I prayed I would not regret. I didn't. The house was on a quiet street off the main road, but the room itself was described as sectored off to other bedroom with a tapestry wall. The host noted guests were free to use the house, cook a meal, and hang out, saying, "My place is your place, just don't sell it." The host of Art House was named Jacob. His love for film and animals, especially pangolins, filled the space, which was clearly well loved. While the lock on my door seemed entertaining due to its partial wall being connected to the bedroom next to it where the other tenant would come and go, I never felt like I lacked security. It was like the house itself inspired a sense of camaraderie and comfort among those who lived there. The first night when Jacob came home from work, he immediately invited me to go on a grocery run, and we talked as if we'd been friends for years. He recommended books to me and told me of plans to get his new girlfriend Valentine's, the boxed kind you get your classmates in elementary school, and I wished my fiancé were there to meet him. A kind and creative guy who also had a pretty amazing collection of punk, grunge, and goth records and memorabilia. I knew they would get along. Jacob hosted home comedy shows, did freelance work in the film industry, and had worked at the Houston Museum of Natural Science. Having looked up pictures online, I knew this was a spot I wanted to go, and much like my stay in Art House, I did not regret it. The Houston Museum of Natural Science is the kind of place you wish you could be a kid again in, and while I was there, I did feel something that I hadn't experienced in years, a feeling of pure wonder and imagination. Every corner turned brought forth new inspiration, and the incredible Morian Hall of Paleontology presented a jaw-dropping display of dinos brought to life in action-packed scenes of survival. After my visit, Jacob asked me name by name about which dinos I'd noticed and informed me that he'd worked on the Spinosaurus. Other exhibits included a cabinet of curiosities, which conjured up Victorian collections of oddities in a modern setting. Walking through, poking around in drawers, you'd hardly remember that you were still in a museum. The Cullen Hall of Gems and Minerals presented stunning studies of precision and beauty, nature's art meeting human craftsmanship, the whole place laid out like a vault of precious gems you'd see in a spy film. It was such an intriguing presentation that it even had me dreaming up a jewel thief character for the very first time. I wasn't in Houston for long, a total of 4 days, which when you're doing bus travel was really 2. My main reason to go was to meet with Stygian author Brian of the YouTube channel Bookish. With Brian, I got to see the fabulous Menil collection and check out Murder by the Book. Unfortunately, I hadn't yet started taking real footage of bookstores, so am quite limited. All I can say is if you're ever in Houston, be sure to visit. On my final day in the city, I discovered a spot I wish I'd found much sooner. The Axelrad Beer Garden, another place which Jacob had touched, installing neon lights in a now iconic tree. Sitting there in the sun as dogs wandered about and local artisans casually peddled their wares by the barbecue, I could feel the personality of the city. Sure, it had its rough edges, as any city does, but it was also defined by a strong sense of community. Throughout my era of travel, there have been many times where I felt adrift, excited yet sometimes fatigued by unfamiliar places, but throughout the best moments have been the ones where I could find some piece of home. And by home, I don't mean Winnipeg or Montreal or even Canada. I mean the bits of memories and experiences that have made me who I am. In Houston, I had stirrings of high school life where my best friends were a gaggle of guys who I spent hours with in poster-covered basements and dilapidated rental houses, playing retro video games and listening to Skinny Puppy and the Sisters of Mercy. I also had memories of childhood where the Manitoba Museum inspired my writing with its exhibits of tall ships, 1920s neighborhoods, and the boreal forest. I even had a glimpse at the type of artistic community I wanted to foster in my own life and in my future. In Houston, I remembered many of the things that drove me to travel in the first place. An uncertainty I'd felt in Dallas was shed, making way for renewed energy that would carry me to faraway places where I would meet new people from all walks of life, witness a variety of artistic communities, and feel the immensity of the world and time around me.